Welcome everyone to another episode of For the Fans podcast. It's a good night. We just had Combine finish up over the weekend, and I think there were some pretty good showings there and some pretty rough showings as well.
Yeah, there were definitely some players that I thought they were going to be really good and put on a great show, and then they kind of disappointed me. But then, of course, there were others that surprised me. There were these players that I had never heard of before that completely shocked me and blew my mind. And I think their draft stock definitely went up.
I mean, I definitely think that one of those, because I hadn't heard of him until this past weekend, because that boy had a day. It was Tristan Wirfs, I believe is how you say his last name.
Yep, from
Was
Iowa.
Yeah, he was not on my radar at all for anything. Like, even the mock drafts I was seeing, didn't see his name anywhere. All of a sudden, he comes in Combine, just ties records or breaks records, and just has one of the most dominant performances, I think, out of every player there.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Very, very cool. And that's something that we're going to get into tonight for sure.
Oh, yeah. But with that being said, we want to welcome you guys back to episode 16, I believe, where we're talking a little bit more about offseason, the news that happens during the offseason, everything that we've gathered so far, and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. As usual, though, before we actually go right into the Combine and some of the other stuff we have planned, we always like to go over just a little bit of news that we have prepared. There's not too much to go on as far as this episode goes, but I think there's definitely some stuff that we need to discuss. The last time that we had this podcast, we were talking a little bit more about the free agency side of things. This week we're talking about the draft, so I don't want to delve into this too much. But one of the things that we continue to hear as far as the future of Tom Brady is that the Patriots should have probably already kind of started talking to him about getting another deal going if they wanted to keep him for this next season, and the Patriots have not done that. And they keep saying that they're waiting on this new collective bargaining agreement that the NFL has put forth, which we talked about last week too, is changing the setup of the season, having an extra regular season game, having 2 more spots in the playoffs, that sort of thing. And they said that they want to wait on that before they make plans with Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Shane, are you buying this?
I'm not buying it completely for the main reason we've seen a lot of talk recently. Some of the most recent rumors, or some of the past rumors, has been Brady in talks with the now Las Vegas Raiders about potentially going there. There was even one of 49ers potentially bringing him there, which I don't see happening. But one that I saw today is that Belichick and Brady apparently had a conversation today, and it didn't go well.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then also when Brady was at the basketball game with Julian Edelman, apparently you can hear him saying that he doesn't plan on coming back to New England. So, with that being said, is it kind of writing on the wall at this point that Brady and the Patriots are no more?
I think they're parting ways, to be honest. This is really interesting. I had an interesting conversation with some coworkers today, which, by the way, I encountered the strangest thing at work today, Shane, that I'm going to tell you about, and I'm going to tell everyone else that's listening right now about. And that is, it was so strange. I don't think I'll ever see anything like this in my life again. But I met 2 level-headed, not obnoxious Cowboy fans today.
What? That is absurd. Yeah. No, I don't believe you. That doesn't exist.
I'm serious. I was talking with these 3 guys. One of them's a Patriots fan. The other 2 are Cowboys fans. We were kind of talking, and those 2 Cowboys fans, they were like, "Look, we know we're not good. Our division's not good. They didn't like Dak Prescott or anything like that. They wanted to get rid of him, but they knew that the Cowboys were probably going to take him. And they were not the type of Cowboys fans that are like, we them boys, we're the best, and we have 5 rings and everything like that. They weren't that way. But anyway, I'm getting off on a little tangent there. I'd just like to say that was something incredible that I witnessed today. But on the other hand, the Patriots fan that I was talking to, he doesn't want Brady to come back to New England, which I found interesting. And I said, why is that? And he said, I don't want to have New England spend all this money on Tom Brady when they can spend money on a cheaper quarterback, one that they can cultivate, or draft one that's younger and they can make him a really good quarterback. And he said he would rather have them beef up the offensive line and sign better receivers, which I thought, you have a bit of a point there.
You know, I don't disagree with that because no offense to Tom Brady, no offense to the Patriots. Brady has done a lot, and he's done a lot for the Patriots. But the thing is, especially after this past season, we saw a major decline in Tom Brady this season. I don't think that he is going to be the Patriots' go-to guy anymore. I think the Patriots would make the right move if they move Brady outside of New England, get him out of there, and get somebody like Teddy Bridgewater to come in.
Perhaps. Yeah. I mean, we'll have to see. Only time will tell. I've seen some mock drafts about, the Patriots taking one of the rookie quarterbacks coming in this year. We're really going to have to see.
Yeah, this draft's going to be interesting. I still hate everything that comes for my team when they've been doing the mock drafts because they keep doing defensive lineman. I forget what his darn name is. Let me find it real quick. It'll take me like 5 seconds. It's
Derek Brown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which,
I've seen that.
No offense to the dude. I'm sure he is a great player, but right now we still have Campbell. Yannick Ngakoue, man, his name is hard to say. He is going to be franchise tag. So you can either trade him and move up from that 20th pick to like a 13 pick. That way you have a 9 and a 13. You can get solid pieces both spots. And then we also have Josh Allen, and right now Marcel Darius looks like he could be on his way out, but with certain people leaving, I'm not going to say who quite yet, just because I think we'll get into it later. With certain people possibly on their way out the door, there could be room to keep Darius there, so we would still have that strong defensive line.
Right, and that's something that we've been talking about. Hey, but before we continue, though, you might want to check your mic. You keep cutting out. I don't know what's going on there.
I will do so.
Anyway, while Shane's doing that, just kind of clarifying, because you might have, for people listening, you might have missed a little bit of that. Yeah, one of the things that we're also talking about here, too, is, the Jaguars are planning to franchise tag Ngakoue, and he has made it very clear that he wants out of Duval County, that he wants to go play for a different team. And Shane discussed a little bit about, changing that up, trading Ngakoue, and then maybe another later draft pick in order to move up in the slots in the first round of the draft to get some better options. We'll have to see as far as what goes on there. That's kind of like the first, that's one of the big names that is coming up in free agency that we've heard a little bit more about within this past little while. The last thing that we want to bring up with, and I'll check, Shane, you good?
I think so.
You sound a little bit better. We'll have to keep seeing how it goes. But the last thing that we're going to bring up, too, is unfortunately the NFL is discussing changing the kickoff again.
Boy, oh boy. I feel like it gets shorter and shorter every year, and pretty soon the kicker is going to only be good for a field goal.
Yeah, well, it's not even necessarily the kicker that I'm sad about as far as their role decreasing. What upsets me, or what I think we're missing out on the value of if the kickoff keeps getting taken away, is okay. I'm a big Chicago Bears fan here. I love Devin Hester, and that dude was a legend when it came to being a return specialist on the kickoff. I mean, come on, in the Super Bowl where the Bears went and they played the Colts. The very first, the kickoff went, Devin Hester caught it, and he scored a touchdown on the opening drive just with that. So you're missing out on those opportunities to see these Devin Hesters, these Barry Sanders characters who are able to, make those impressive runs after a kickoff. This is why I don't think I can really get behind the concept of the NFL changing the kickoff again. I understand that it's for safety measures and yada, 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 but I can't buy into it.
My whole thing with this is players know what they're signing up for when they go into this. Yes, it is terrible when a player gets injured. Nobody wants to get injured. But some of the rule changes that they make and some of the things that they adjust cause even more injuries. And in all honesty, I think it takes a lot of the appeal out of the game. Like if we even go back 10 years from today, we could see like players are a lot more grittier and a lot more love of the game. Whereas today, I feel like it's more all about the money and how much money do
Yeah.
I get rather than how much do I get from the game.
Yeah, definitely. And we've discussed that before as far as um, the ideology and the perhaps a little bit of the culture change that's happening because of that. Which brings me just one last question. We can put this out to the audience, Shane, but I want to hear what your thoughts are on this.
Okay.
If any current rule in the game can be changed, what should it be? I have my thoughts, but I want to know what you have, because there's one rule that bugs me, but I want to know if there's any type of rule that you're kind of like, I hate it right now. We need to get rid of it.
Roughing the passer.
That's mine too.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was gonna say roughing the passer is like they have see in the old days like you used to be able to hit the quarterback and hit them hard. Today it's like you don't some players are getting called for roughing the passer without even touching the quarterback. And that's what blows my mind. It's like the tiniest little baby touch or any touch at all or even no touch in some situations result in that flag being thrown and basically turning the whole design of the game around.
Yeah, that if rather than this is just how I see it. Rather than having the NFL change how the kickoff works, let's fix the roughing the passer rule, because we all know that the players hate it and the fans hate it.
I mean, if I had to throw in another one, I would even say pass interference is a little ridiculous as well.
Or at least having a more clear definition of what is a catch and what's not a catch due to pass interference.
Yeah, but I mean, like some pass interference, like it's just like how is that a pass interference? Like usually when you see a pass interference, it is rarely called on the receiver. It's almost always called on the defender. And sometimes I'm like, they were pushing each other the whole way down. Like, if you're gonna
Right.
call it on the defender, you need like either say no, that's actually not a penalty. They shoved the entire time, or fit something there.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of complaints that we certainly have, but unfortunately, we're not going to be able to really get into too much of it tonight because that's not the point of this. But yeah, just something to kind of keep in mind is, NFL's thinking of changing the kickoff again, and personally, I think us and a lot of other fans are saying, no, change the other rules before you change the kickoff. But anyway,
change the kickoff for like the 5th time or something like that.
yeah, exactly. Or another one that's really interesting. Again, sorry, getting off on a side tangent here, but why are we having the clock at 40 seconds? Why don't we put it down to 25 like they do in college? It makes it a lot more interesting. You have a lot more plays that happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so that they're trying to give the teams more time to like plan things out and to adjust in certain situations, but at the same time it's like make it a little bit more like rugby. Rugby, there is no stopping. It is go, 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 go. And
Yeah.
I feel like football, like it gave you that nice little rest. That way teams could strategize, could prepare, and call the play and adjust to the proper play that they needed. But now that they're adding more and more and more time to it, it's just going to be like, cool, a 3-hour football game is now going to be about 6 hours because teams are just going to wait till the very last second to hike that ball.
Yep, for sure. Yep. Anyway, moving on. We need to get into the core of our episode, and that is the NFL Combine. We're going to be talking about who stood out and also whose draft stock might have gone a little bit down. We didn't see anything too impressive from them. Shane, let's just have you kind of already talked about Tristan Wirfs. Why don't you elaborate on that a little bit as someone who really stood out to you?
I mean, I watched him. He is a big boy. Like for offensive lineman, he's pretty big. And the thing that stood out to me most, more than anything else that he did, because he did have a phenomenal day. I don't know what record he broke, but for an offensive lineman, their job is to stay solid and to hold a line. He ran a very, very fast 40-yard dash. Like, I was in utter shock on how fast he ran.
Yeah, it was pretty impressive, to say the least.
Yeah, I'm even looking up like right now, like what was his combine result of just with that 40-yard dash. So just give me a few moments. You go ahead, and I'll come back to Tristan Wirfs.
For sure. I'll give a little bit of an explanation as far as who really stood out to me. I understand that, this is someone that we already had our eyes on a little bit, but they were really impressive to me, and that was CeeDee Lamb.
I want him
I
on my team.
I think he really showed his determination and his what is it? The word is escaping me, but I guess you could say just really how dedicated he is to the game, and he works really hard. I noticed he made an amazing catch. It was caught on camera, but also the fact that he kind of took a bit of a nasty fall at one point at the combine, and then came back and just kept going at it. I think CeeDee Lamb would definitely be a really good rookie receiver that whatever team picks him up would be very lucky to have him.
Okay, you're right, because I mean he definitely stood out. So I found Tristan Wirfs. So I want people to imagine this: a guy who's 6'5", like that's not like terribly tall, but that's like perfect, almost perfect height for an offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
Weighing 320 pounds, he set a record for his position with a 36.5-inch vertical. So that boy can jump high. Tied the record for a broad jump with 10 foot 1 inches, and he ran a 4.85 40. That is a big, strong, fast boy.
Definitely.
I like if I saw that lineman, and I'm just talking normal everyday me, and I'm like 6'2" and about 200 pounds. If I saw that lineman and he started coming after me, I'm like, I need to run to try to get out of here, but he is probably faster than me.
Probably.
That's what terrified me. I'm like, it's gonna feel like getting hit by a train if he starts running, because he can run. I think he can run faster than like a lot of other good players that should be able to run a little bit more. Speaking of people to run, so CeeDee Lamb had an amazing day. He was fast, he was strong, he was really good on catches. Like, I think that one catch that really like boosted his draft stock a lot was where the quarterback where it looked like the quarterback just overthrew him. He jumped up and did everything to get that ball.
Yeah. It was... How do I explain this? I think it just really showed that he is one of the receivers that, it's... Even if the ball's not coming at him, he's going to like twist in any sort of way in order to make sure that he comes down with that ball. It'll be really interesting to see if he can put that ability to test when there's a cornerback right after him.
I mean, I still think that he could do pretty good, but you also got to look over at his teammates who were also heavily talked about. Jerry Jeudy, and then I think one that ended up being the bigger surprise, because Jeudy and Lamb were like the big receivers going into this, Henry Ruggs came in and put on a show for everybody.
Right. Well, and Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy were teammates at Alabama.
Yeah, and along with Lamb. Right?
CeeDee Lamb is from Ohio.
Yeah. I was like, no, he was a different team.
Ohio State. Yeah. Oh no, sorry, no. CeeDee Lamb's from Oklahoma. Excuse me, not Ohio State. He's from Oklahoma. But yeah.
Henry Ruggs. So the fastest all-time combine record is John Ross, who ran a 4.22 40-yard dash. Henry Ruggs' time was 4.27.
That's fast.
So I know that you and me have talked about this, but I don't know if we talked about this with everybody who listens or watches or anything else. I know this will not happen, but imagine the Kansas City Chiefs get Henry Ruggs. They have Tyreek Hill, who is a speed demon, and that's one of the things that makes him such a dominant receiver and why he did well so far and is continuing to do well. Imagine pairing that with Henry Ruggs, who is also a speed demon.
Not to mention Damian Williams and Mecole Hardman, and the fact that the ball is being thrown to them by Patrick Mahomes.
And then you also have their tight end.
Oh, Travis Kelce. Yeah, who
Yeah,
can forget Travis
yeah. I
Kelce?
was like, you can't forget Kelsey, who is just the big, good tight end, like one of the best tight ends in the league right now. Like that, those weapons for Mahomes, I'd be like, yeah, Patriots dynasty. I don't think you guys would have had anything on the brand new Chiefs dynasty if they got Ruggs as well, because that's just. Oh, I don't think anyone would be able to cover Ruggs and Hill and Kelsey. Like
Yeah,
two, you
it'd
got
be
two,
rough.
you got two speed demon threats to cover that you gotta try to keep up with. And you have Kelsey, who's just the big man who's going to come down with everything. Like it is not an ideal situation.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. Um, yeah, yeah, that would be something. It's probably not going to happen, but it would be something.
It would definitely be something. I mean, oh, but with that, who else stood out to you during the combine?
I got one more that is actually really entertaining to me.
Okay.
Now, I say this because people may who have been watching this, they've heard it a couple of times from me. When it comes to college, I go with my alma mater. I go with Arizona State, and what was really cool to see at the combine was Arizona State's punter Michael Turk. He actually took part in the bench press at the combine this
I
year.
saw that. Oh, go ahead, continue.
Yeah, he put up 25 reps of 225 pounds. So just for those, just putting that in perspective, it means that this guy who's what is he? He's 6 foot, a little over 6 feet,
Low over 6 foot.
226 pounds. Yep, he's 226 pounds. He did better benching than all but one of the tight ends who participated, and better than all of the wide receivers that took part in that. Not to mention, his 25 reps were more than Frank Clark, who did 19, Jadeveon Clowney, who did 21, DeMarcus Lawrence, who did 20, Devin White, who did 22, Chandler Jones, who did 22, and Michael Bennett, who did 24. And those are big names right there. I was shocked. I thought that was awesome.
The thing that blew my mind is like he's a punter and he could probably be like I don't know how he can catch, but he could probably be better tight end than some of the tight ends in this year's draft.
You might be right, actually. Hey, Chicago, take him as your punter and make him a tight end, please. We need a tight end.
That would be a story. I mean, hey, we could see another mini Taysom Hill within him.
Oh, maybe. All right, so we've talked about who stood out. Shane, is there anyone that you saw that you're like, ooh, their draft stock went down. They're not as impressive as I thought they were?
There were a few. I can't think of their names though.
There were two that came to mind for me, and they were both quarterbacks.
Yeah, I was gonna say some of the quarterbacks looked a little sloppy.
Yeah, Jake Fromm, who was the quarterback from Georgia, I feel like he wasn't either he wasn't having a good day, or it just wasn't quite. Some of the passes that he was throwing, it just wasn't quite working for him. It was a little bit sloppy. The other one was Justin Herbert, Oregon's quarterback, which I know some people are saying, oh no, he's good, he's gonna be one of the best there. I feel like when they tried to stretch him farther, when they tried to get more of those far passes down the field, it was really shaky for him. And I just feel like he just wasn't as impressive as he possibly could have been.
Yeah, I mean, there were other ones. I think Trey Adams, the offensive tackle out of Washington, he was a little rough as well for an offensive tackle. Like, I will say, I don't even think the running backs showed up too terribly much as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, as far as running backs, I didn't pay too much attention to the running backs. Again, most of my eye was on the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, and the offensive linemen. And there's really only two quarterbacks that I would, or sorry, not quarterbacks, excuse me, running backs that I'm kind of curious to see how they're going to cultivate. I didn't see the results at the combine. You might have to look those up for me. But I really want to know how Utah's running back, Trevor Moss, looks. And I also am curious about, well, of course, ASU's running back. Wow, I keep getting that wrong. Running back, Eno Benjamin. I want to see, really how those two stack up. But again, didn't pay too much attention to the running backs. You would know better than I would.
It was Utah running back Zach Moss.
Yeah, sorry, Zach Moss, not Trevor Moss.
You're good. Let me pull this out. I'm gonna bring this over here so everyone can see with me. I think that came out. Nope, no, it did not. Come on. There you go. His 40-yard dash didn't stand out because he injured his hamstring before he ran the 40 in the combine.
Oh, this was Zach Moss.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like he did okay, but he's not phenomenal.
Yeah.
40-yard dash. Okay, so here it is. 40-yard dash, he did a... The unofficial time was 4.72, but the official time was 4.65. Which I feel like is pretty slow for a running back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Tristan Wirfs almost tied him. Or beat him. So, if an offensive lineman can run faster than a running back, that's not a good sign.
Right. And now, okay, and now I'm looking at, Benjamin's stats. His 40-yard dash was 4.57.
Yeah, that's not too great
either
either.
Jump, no. Vertical was 39. Broad jump was 122. 20-yard shuffle was 4.25.
Moss did do 19 reps of 225 pounds on the bench press. Was about middle of the pack for running backs. He came 7 out of 22. Vertical jump, he did 33 inches. And that's when he tweaked his hamstring, was during the vertical jump as well. But he did pretty well compared to everybody else.
Right.
But there was A.J. Dillon, who had the best one of the week for running backs with 41 inches.
That's a good
20-yard shuttle run, he did it in 4.37. But the fastest time was 4.03.
We have it. Again, and then we'll just have to see because, you got to put these guys on the field against an actual team, and then we're really going to start to see what's going to happen there. And, of course, you have to see what teams are going to even end up with.
Yeah, I mean, we really don't know. I feel like the only thing that's almost for certain, and it's not even for certain at this point, is that the Cincinnati Bengals will draft Joe Burrow.
Yeah, it's looking pretty solid as far as Joe Burrow and his situation there. After that, it might even get a little bit muddled.
I'll tell you, one mock draft that I saw today said that the Bengals would not take Joe Burrow, instead would take defensive end Chase Young. Burrow would fall down to number 5, and we all know who has picked number 5, the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins would grab Burrow, and then the Chargers would take Tua.
Oh, we all know the Dolphins are taking for Tua. They're not blowing for Burrow.
But that was some of the crazy stuff I saw today.
Right. Yeah, and I highly doubt that. I mean, come on, let's be real. Why would the Bengals not take Joe Burrow?
Beats me.
I mean, he could go to Washington. He could go to the Dolphins. My guess, though, is that Joe Burrow will go to the Bengals and that Chase Young will go with the number 2 pick. He'll go to Washington.
But, anybody else that you think is looking pretty solid or pretty rough?
I'm starting to think because of how well he performed, Tristan Wirfs is actually going to be in the top 10 overall. And I think another offensive lineman who performed very well at the combine was Mekhi Becton from Louisville. I feel like he might possibly go in the top 10 as well. Other names that I have on here that we kind of already know a little bit about. We've heard a little bit about Jeff Okudah, who's a cornerback from Ohio. Could go with the Lions. Could go with the Chargers, the Panthers. Going to be a very reliable cornerback, I would expect. Tua Tagovailoa, as long as his medical records keep coming back healthy, he's going to be eventually the starting quarterback for one of these teams that's at the beginning of the draft.
Yeah. We also didn't talk about really Isaiah Simmons at all.
No, and we mentioned Derek Brown briefly too as two that were like, ooh, those two would be really good. And I firmly believe, Shane, that as far as your team, your Jaguars, you're going to pick up one of those two, either Isaiah Simmons or Derek Brown.
Please not Derek Brown. No offense to the dude. I understand that he's gonna be good. Here is my thing. If Tristan Wirfs is at number 9, or if CeeDee Lamb is at number 9, get one of them, please. I'm okay with Isaiah Simmons because that area is a bit struggle all around. Derek Brown, I assure you, he is probably going to be a really good player, but I feel like the Jaguars' biggest concern isn't defensive line. It's either in the defensive backfield, the offensive line, or gain another solid receiver to pair with Chark.
Right. I remember you were telling me this, which we somewhat agreed on. Yes, of course. Yes, there could be a little bit of work on the defensive line that is needed for the Jaguars, but it seems at this point that the Jaguars are going with Gardner Minshew as their starting quarterback. They're going to try and shop Nick Foles around,
which they are actively doing. Thank the Lord.
Exactly. But Gardner Minshew is going to have to scramble like nobody's business, which is not the most effective thing, which is why you need a strong offensive line in order to be able to at least provide a little bit of coverage for him again, if there's a blitz coming.
Which is why I think Mekhi Becton or Tristan Wirfs would be the perfect fit. The ideal scenario would be one of those two there. In my opinion, we have seen this time again. We talked about this where offense brings in the fans, but defense wins games. That was not the case this past Super Bowl. Offense won the game for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yes, that is true.
So, and I think everybody knows, part of the reason why I think the Patriots did so well is that if we look at the history of good quarterbacks and quarterbacks that won Super Bowls, 85 to 95% of them had a stellar offensive line, so the quarterback could literally just stand there, go through almost all of his reads, and then get the ball to the right person at the right time.
Right.
Anyways, I'm getting off my pedestal now.
but I see where you're coming from with that. I mean, and you and I talked about this too with us with our specific teams because as you've said, Jaguars need a strong offensive line. I believe the same thing for the Bears, just in order to actually protect Trubisky because that dude just keeps getting sacked or he has to scramble. He can't be this pocket passer that Nagy's trying to make him do. Don't want to anyway. I'm talking too much about this anyway.
But you guys also don't have a pick in the first round.
That's the problem.
That I think is your biggest problem right now.
Right, and so we have to look elsewhere for that. But anyway, I digress. Another thing that we're going to be talking about too, because we've mentioned all these players, but now we need to talk about the players that we're not so sure about as far as where they are going.
And then after this, I'm going to throw in a different question in for you, but let's go through this first.
Okay, so I want to read off these 4 names first, which are all quarterbacks. These 4 quarterbacks that we have not brought up yet. Jake Fromm. Well, we brought him up earlier, but Jake Fromm, the quarterback from Georgia. Jordan Love, the quarterback from Utah State. Jacob Eason, the quarterback from Washington. And again, brought him up earlier as well. Justin Herbert, the quarterback from Oregon. I guarantee you, Shane, if the Patriots are not keeping Tom Brady, or actually, to be honest, if they are keeping Tom Brady, the Patriots will be selecting one of these quarterbacks in the draft.
If you had to pick any one of those 4, who would you go with, though?
I would go with Jordan Love.
That's who I was thinking, too. I'm thinking that the Patriots might benefit and have Jordan Love kind of fall into their lap.
Jordan Love performs similar to Patrick Mahomes in some aspects. And I feel like if you want to get him to be the quarterbacks of today, so the Lamar Jacksons and the Patrick Mahomes, you go with Jordan Love.
I will agree with that.
I know that, Jacob Eason might start to show a little bit of promise. We said that we weren't overly impressed with Herbert and Fromm at the Combine, but you never know where they could end up. I will throw this out, and a lot of other people have said this as well. Jake Fromm, what if he returns to the state of Georgia and he plays backup for Matt Ryan and then eventually takes over once Matt Ryan decides to retire? That's just a thought for him. Justin Herbert, I thought possibly what if he goes to the Chargers and they kind of have him be built up while they have another quarterback, whether that's Tyrod Taylor or Teddy Bridgewater, to be the starting quarterback while they usher in that new era. Again, these are just ideas to throw around with these quarterbacks.
Do you think that any of these 4 quarterbacks will fall to the second round even?
Yeah, I think Jake Fromm could.
So I think that could be very interesting because I feel like there's a lot of quarterback hungry teams, but there's also a lot of quarterbacks open in free agency. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to take a chance on the rookie and who's going to go with the proven veteran.
Yeah. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of the teams are going to more so go with the proven veteran, and they'll want to try and groom all of these rookies to eventually be the signal caller.
All right. I mean, sounds good to me, but anything else you want to add about the QB?
Oh, I'm good with the QBs. Let's move on to some of these others.
Oh boy. So let's start with the next group, which is going to be our wide receivers. We have Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, and CeeDee Lamb. All of which we have talked about.
There's one more lower that we have on our list.
And Brandon Ayuk, who is also another big name
Ayuk.
receiver. Ayuk?
Ayuk, yep.
Okay, I'm telling you, some of these people's names I'm going to mispronounce. It's just going to happen.
Right.
That's the nature of football. Even somebody that's on your own team, you are going to say their name wrong, like Yannick Ngakoue.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one. Holy.
Anyways, these are 4 stellar wide receivers, and the interesting thing that I think I've seen with a lot of mock drafts posted around the NFL and like all these different ones, I think I've seen most of them. Nobody takes one of these really good wide receivers within the first 10 picks, most of which do need a good wide receiver.
Yes, I 100% agree. I don't think any of these receivers are going to go in the top 10. There's a possibility maybe Jerry Jeudy, but still not a guarantee. Also, by the way, when you were talking about like names of NFL players that are hard to pronounce, dude, took me forever to nail Ndamukong Suh. It took me forever to figure that one out.
Oh, I didn't know how to say his first name. I just knew Sue. That was it.
Took me forever to get Ndamukong Suh.
Well, I mean,
anyway,
there was also Troy Polamalu.
Oh yeah. There you go. Anyway, getting off a tangent again. My bad, but yeah. As far as these 4 receivers go, I mean, we got Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs, who are both from Alabama. CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, and then he's the lowest one on the list out of these 4, but Brandon Ayuk from Arizona State. These 4 are ones that are certainly, I feel, are going to go within the first round, but they will not go within the top 10. If I had to, where all 4 of these are going to go, Jerry Jeudy, I feel like is going to go to the Raiders. And I know a lot of other people are saying that as well. He's going to go there, and he would work really great with, if Tom Brady ends up becoming the quarterback there, and if Josh Jacobs being the running back there grows into this really stellar running back that he's already proving to be at this point. Henry Ruggs, I'm torn on this one. I could see him going to the Colts. I could also see him going to the Cowboys if Amari Cooper decides to not stick around.
I've also seen him go to I think it's the Dolphins at 13.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
And then we got CeeDee Lamb.
Right.
Like the thing with the wide receivers, I think if none of them are taken within the top 10, they're definitely between 11 and 15 for most of them.
Yeah. CeeDee Lamb, he's a tough one. Maybe Indianapolis. Maybe Dallas. Again, same thing again if Amari Cooper decides to not stick around. Honestly, the one that I'm most sure about is Brandon Ayuk. He is either going to be taken by Buffalo to be another good receiver so that Josh Allen has more options there, or he becomes an option for Drew Brees. He goes with the Saints, which will, I think, further up the chances of the Saints hopefully making a return to the Super Bowl this next season.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a good fit overall there. I'm pulling up like the draft order and everything right now, so oh man, it is gonna be a rough ride to try and figure out a lot of this, I think.
Probably going to be about whatever we're saying right now is probably going to be about as accurate as my March Madness bracket. And I tell you, I can. I'm starting to try to look at that right now, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to
do? But like, here's the thing. I've actually been seeing Jeudy go lower than both Ruggs and Lamb lately. Like a lot of pre-combine, I think he was the top pick for wide receivers. Post-combine, I think his draft stock has fallen a little bit, while Ruggs and Lamb have been on the rise.
Maybe. I feel like that one's still kind of hard to really get a good read at, because I still feel like Jerry Jeudy might be the best of those three.
Like I said, I think Jeudy, Ruggs, and Lamb are going to go anywhere between 11. I'll push it to 18, but I'm feeling comfortable with saying 16.
Yep.
I think all three will be gone by Pitt 16, so I mean, oh man, that's going to be brutal.
For sure. I think that about covers it for the wide receivers. I know we have some defensive players that we have on this list, but I think we're going to kind of go. We're gonna skip that for now, just because again they're a little harder to read, and we're going to move on to our next thing. Does that sound good?
Sounds great to me. But I do have that one question.
Oh, that's right.
Out of every position, and I'm even throwing this out to the fans, out of every position, what do you think is the strongest position in this year's draft?
And those offensive line players are looking pretty good right now.
See, I am torn because I have three, and this all on offense. I'm feeling offensive line, I'm feeling wide receiver, and I'm feeling quarterback.
And that's the thing too, is the quarterbacks all look like they can be really good. Joe Burrow's already looking really good, and I think these other ones, give them a little time, and they're going to look really good too. And yeah, you're right. Wide receivers, there's good stock here. Tough one.
If I had to pick one overall, I think I would stick with wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Just because we have some solid defensive line, and I think that's going to be great. And we have some solid quarterbacks. Thing is, we've seen quarterbacks do phenomenal in college, and the way that I have seen quarterbacks is that most of the time, quarterbacks picked in the first round that were expected to be phenomenal, maybe you get 2 or 3 of them in the first round that actually become something.
Yeah.
And then offensive line, I feel like they're good, but I just feel like the wide receivers they're going to go fast at wide receiver.
Yes, I agree. If once the quarterbacks and the main needs are addressed within the top 10, then all the wide receivers are going to be gone.
They're going to be gone fast.
All right, then. That kind of concludes it as far as our thoughts on the draft.
So you want to move on to our next topic?
And we're going to try and keep this brief because our For the Fun is actually really entertaining, and I really don't want to make that one go fast.
Oh, yeah. Let's kind of breeze through this, so you go ahead and start it off.
Oh, so what we wanted to do is, this is just sort of a thing of if this is what we call here's a thought. If the NFL were to add those 2 more teams to playoff spots with this new collective bargaining agreement, what 3 teams from both the AFC and the NFC would fall into those wild card spots? I bring this up because a few episodes ago, Shane and I had brought up who we thought would take each division in both the AFC and the NFC. And our just as a quick refresher, our answers were pretty similar. We said the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Texans, and the Bills for the AFC. And we said the Saints and the Packers and the Eagles for the NFC. As far as the NFC North goes, as far as the NFC West goes, we've changed a little bit. Shane, you're going with the Seahawks. I'm going with the 49ers. That's just kind of like where we're standing right now.
We've also had this debate back and forth where it's going to be a ping pong battle between those two.
Certainly, and that's what I think might be the same thing as far as what we think these wild card teams are going to be. So, Shane, why don't you cover the AFC first, talking about the teams, because we mostly agree, and then we'll move into the NFC.
So AFC, we agree for everything. So with the CBA, they're talking about adding that extra team into the playoffs. So instead of having 6 teams from the AFC and 6 teams from the NFC, it's going to be 7 and 7. My 7th pick, which is different from yours. So if you notice, we didn't say the New England Patriots there at all. With the 7th spot, I'm not even saying the Patriots are going to make it out into the playoffs next season, especially if they get rid of Brady. I'm hindering this on them not keeping Brady. I'm actually picking the Miami Dolphins to make it into the playoffs,
which I find very interesting. Now, I understand that, maybe something will happen there depending on how things go with their quarterback, or if they got a lot of cap space, a lot of money to sign big players. But I'm interested to see if it is going to pay off that much.
And see, that's kind of the whole take. Like, this is me literally just like taking a shot in the dark. But I'm thinking with the Miami Dolphins, with their massive draft capital, and they have one of the biggest cap spaces in the NFL right now, I think they are going to stock up and use a lot of that cap space. Not a whole ton, but they're going to use a good amount of it to fill some gaping holes on their team with some proven players, and then they're going to draft really well because they have 3 picks in the first round. I think they're going to come this offseason with the draft, and with this offseason, I think they're going to come in very aggressive, and it's going to shock a lot of people. I mean, we even saw the last game of the regular season, and this is where I'm also going with this, why I'm picking them. The last game of the regular season, they played the New England Patriots and beat the Patriots to knock the Patriots out of the first round bye, which caused the Patriots to play in the wild card, and they lost to the Tennessee Titans.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, the Dolphins were able to beat the Patriots, who everyone thought was untouchable, and everyone was looking at the Dolphins like they were the laughingstock of the NFL. They came around and beat the Patriots, and I'm like, if they were able to do that with what they had as the last game, because I don't think the Patriots were doing that classic roll over, do whatever we want, we're in the playoffs, whatever. The Patriots were fighting for that first round spot, because that first round bye, and they really won it. I think that the Patriots showed up to that game, but the Dolphins showed up more, and I think we continue to see that. The Dolphins can steal that last spot if this rule change happens.
Okay, yeah. It's still a little bit up in the air for me.
It's very up in the air. I don't blame you.
Right. Whether it's with or without Brady, I actually have the Patriots in at the 7th seed. And I just see that as a possibility if they're just going to barely sneak in. And I'm fairly certain of that if the Patriots are going to go into the playoffs this year, they're just going to barely sneak in.
It's going to be rough for the Patriots this upcoming season, I think.
That'll be a bit of a culture change for sure. But you and I agreed with the other 2 spots. We both said that the Tennessee Titans would take the 6th seed, and we both said the Steelers would take the 5th seed.
Yeah, it hurt me putting the Titans there. I really didn't want to put them there.
They keep Derrick Henry and they keep Ryan Tannehill. They're definitely in the playoffs.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought process, because I was looking at some teams, and I was like, well, maybe like the Denver Broncos could come up, because they started to get on a little bit of roll towards the second half of the season. I'm like, I don't think they would top out the Tennessee Titans, though.
Yeah. Probably not.
But let's move on to the NFC side.
The AFC. The NFC, this is where it gets a little bit more muddled. I'll start with mine really quickly. First off, you did say that you expected the Seattle Seahawks to take the NFC West. I find it really interesting. I actually put 3 of the 4 NFC West teams in the playoffs with this setting. I said that the San Francisco 49ers would take the division, but I have the Rams in at the 5th seed and the Seahawks at the 6th seed. And I say this just because I think the Rams will improve this season, and I say that the Seahawks, they're still going to find some way to get in there. They always do, pretty much. And then, of course, I kind of had to, just because I'm thinking if there is improvements that are going to happen here, things change, whether it's a new quarterback or something, I do expect the Chicago Bears to get into the playoffs just barely. My other two teams that I contemplated saying, maybe they'll get in as a 7th seed were the Dallas Cowboys, which I really didn't want to do that, whether it happens or not, or the Minnesota Vikings. And I just feel like the Bears are consistent enough that they at least can beat the Vikings every time, and so they'll hold the tiebreaker over them. Anyway, just my thoughts.
So I agree with you for the main four, which is Saints, except I say Seahawks instead of 49ers, Packers, and Eagles. Interesting thing with mine, I did not put the 49ers in here because something that I feel like is starting to become a pattern, and this could change with Bosa completely, with Nick Bosa there, but I feel like the 49ers have a strong year, and then next year they have an off year, and then they come back strong again. It's the only reason I didn't put them in this one, but if I had to, I would put them in at number 6 instead of the LA Rams. At number 5, I have the Minnesota Vikings because I feel like I am still picturing this perfect walk-away, happy ending fairy tale story for Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. They're going to go into the playoffs. Vikings are going to play in the wild card. They're going to win and meet up with the Saints in the NFC Conference Finals, okay?
Oh, this is what you're trying to put up. Okay, I got it.
Yep, and then the Saints come out and finally break everything that the Vikings have done to them in the past, and the Saints go on to win the Super Bowl. That's how I see it, and that's what I want to see personally.
That would be cool. I'm not. Yeah, all right.
It is a fairy tale story. It would be a happy ending, and that is the day that Drew Brees would be like, I retire. I won the Super Bowl. I beat the Minneapolis curse on the New Orleans Saints. I am done.
Fair enough.
That's the main reason I put them in. I'm sorry. I honestly thought about putting the Bears in here. I want to, but I feel like Washington might have something a little sneaky and a little tricky going on the underneath to barely squeak in.
Which I can understand. My only issue with that is I don't see how, because you put the Eagles in as as them taking the NFC East division. Even though Ron Rivera might try and put something sneaky in as far as how Washington changes their game, I really don't see them getting past Philadelphia and Dallas.
I don't see it. This is literally just a complete. This is me basically just throwing a Hail Mary and saying, I can see this happening, but it is not likely, but I think it is possible.
Right. I mean, hey, the Redskins are taking the 2nd overall pick this year. You know who took the 2nd overall pick at the start of last year? The 49ers. Look where they went this year. You never know.
Super Bowl.
Yep.
Which is like kind of the philosophy I'm going. It's like we saw last year with 49ers grabbing Nick Bosa. Rumor around the mill, Washington might grab Chase Young, another defensive end, to just obliterate lines and get to the quarterback. I think we could see something like that in Washington, but I'm not saying it'll work out for them as well as the 49ers did. 49ers did very well. I think the Redskins are going to barely squeak in.
I mean, they both have impressive, Chase Young and Nick Bosa are both from Ohio State. But again, and the only reason I'm just to kind of put the end on that subject, though, is yes, even though they did acquire Nick Bosa, the 49ers they finally got a fully healthy Jimmy Garoppolo, and they have that strong run game, which is something we don't really see with Washington. But hey, we'll have to see.
All right, you want to get into our For the Fun topic?
This is going to be so much fun. I've been looking forward to this all week. Oh man! So for our For the Fun topic,
I can't say it without laughing.
Okay, so our For the Fun topic this week is called the NFL Roast. We are actually going to be making fun of every team in the NFL for various reasons. And it's going to be really fun talking about it. Yes, we're even bagging on our own teams. It's going to be really, really fun. But, oh, man. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to be bringing up just stuff that's happened in the past or just things about the team. And we're just going to kind of go through each team and basically say like, hey, you want to know why this team sucks, or haha about this team, something like that, and we're just gonna kind of see how it goes. But yeah, I got a list of these now, and then granted, I'll keep in mind too, some teams are easier to make fun of than others. I will preface with that. There are some teams where we were kind of grasping at straws as far as what can we make fun of them for. Some are really easy, but we're just going to see how this goes.
Sorry, I just immediately thought, it's like, some of these are easy. Cleveland Browns, there you go.
Duckmaster's already bagging on the Jaguars with their defense.
Oh, no, Duck, why? We were friends. I agree, though. Loss of Boy is going to hurt a ton.
Let's do this. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm going to start out with the dynasty, the New England Patriots. Okay, where do I begin with this?
Begin with the Patriots.
Yeah, the Spygate, Deflategate. I mean, come on. You're going to have that writing on your history for the rest of the rest of time. Also, this whole little thing that happened during the offseason with Robert Kraft at the massage parlor, that doesn't really paint a positive light as far as your ownership goes for the New England Patriots. And I know we've talked about those ones. You're kind of like, oh yeah, of course, yeah. Of course you can make fun of the Patriots for that. And also, let's not forget that you probably would have the Patriots would probably have 8 rings. Tom Brady would have 8 rings if it weren't to those 2 losses to the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. One that happened to ruin an undefeated season.
Oh.
Yikes.
Yikes for New England.
Sure, you stay on top of it for the past little while. Sure, you're one of the best teams out there, but you can't ignore the fact that you lost to the Giants not once, but twice.
I just want to say the Patriots have never won a game against the New York Giants in the Super Bowl. Or at least while Eli Manning and Tom Brady were at it.
Exactly, which those are 2 very different players, if you ask me. That's the Patriots.
I'm just thinking of Gridiron Heights, where it's like Eli Manning's like this little crybaby, and then you have Tom Brady, who's like the cockiest person alive.
True.
And then it's just like, oh yeah, Eli Manning, the little scaredy cat, beat Tom Brady, the cocky man, twice.
Oh yes.
Oh boy. All right, Buffalo Bills. First of all. This one isn't even one that we have written down, but I'm just saying it. How many Bills fans do you think have head injuries or some other kind of like brain injury or other injury because of their dumb little table thing?
I forgot about the table.
I mean,
Let's go.
I'm concerned for you guys because... Are you guys actually Bills fans, or have you just been thrown through a table enough where you just think you're a Bills fan because you got a head injury?
Well, apparently they like the violent aspect of, falling on a table. It makes sense why they're Bills fans, because who was the Bills' most notorious running back? Oh, yeah, O.J. Simpson.
And
I'm pulling that card.
Let's also remind them that they have 4 straight Super Bowl losses.
4 straight Super Bowl losses, and 2 of them were to the Cowboys.
Oh, no. They're the reasons we have to hear "We Dem Boys."
Because of the Bills.
Bills, this is all your fault. Everything is your fault now.
The Music City Miracle, you choked that one to Tennessee. And then you haven't been able to win a playoff game since.
Okay. Let's move on to the New York Jets.
What else are we going to bring up? The butt fumble.
I mean, we can bring up one thing.
What's that?
Are you guys seeing ghosts?
Oh, no. Let's not get into that.
I will say, nobody trolled the New York Jets harder this past season than my team when we started playing Ghostbusters in the middle of the stadium the week after Sam Darnold said that he was seeing ghosts on the field.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was... I don't think anything we can say can top what they did to what they did to the Jets themselves.
Which is why I'm going with the butt fumble. That was one of the weirdest things we had ever seen. That Mark Sanchez is like, okay, I'm going, and then he bumps into his own teammate's butt and loses the football.
Oh man, I forgot about the days of Sanchez.
That's probably a good thing, forgetting about Mark Sanchez. All
Uh,
right, that's the Jets.
all right, let's go on to the Miami Dolphins, who have not really been relevant since Dan Marino, and the only reason they're relevant this year is because they have a lot of draft picks and a lot of cap space.
Yeah, this one again, kind of grasping at straws, but yeah, Miami has kind of coasted, pretty much ever since their two Super Bowls that they had in the '70s. Yeah, they had that moment with Dan Marino, years ago, but still wasn't. It wasn't it. And with the Dolphins now, it's just, I mean, what you've been working with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Brock Osweiler, like yikes. That's been your quarterbacks when other quarterbacks are having trouble. At least Ryan Tannehill got a revival somewhere.
I know, but oh man, the Dolphins, you guys have. It's just been. I feel bad for them, but they have been very bad for a while, and I that's coming from my team, which is very bad as well. But let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Duckmaster, I apologize in advance. McKay, you go ahead. I can't look at the screen right now.
The big one that I have to throw out here is that sexual harassment case against Ben Roethlisberger. That's the one that comes to mind for me. Is that just put such a negative light on the Steelers, and the fact that if you look at most people, Big Ben kind of got away with it if it did happen. But we've talked about. That almost seems to happen if you have the money and you have the celebrity status. And yeah, I always going for Big Ben. Yep. I mean, I could go for Antonio Brown or Le'Veon Bell, but we've already been down that road before.
But I mean, we can make the argument there that they're not on the team anymore.
But exactly.
But you know who is still on the team? A dude with a head injury from a helmet.
Oh, bring it up, Mason Rudolph.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's all I have to say for the Steelers.
Yep, for sure.
Okay.
Hey, Big Ben. But right. Speaking of players, specifically quarterbacks who can't behave.
Oh, no.
Baltimore Ravens with the Ray Rice elevator incident.
I'm dying over here.
Be kind to your significant other. Do not beat them up in an elevator, especially when you are a famous football player. I mean, come on. Do not do that.
For the Fans podcast does not sponsor any kind of sexual or domestic violence in whatever way possible.
Obviously, we're making fun of Henry Rice.
Just gotta do that disclosure right there. That way we don't get flagged for anything.
No kidding.
Which speaking of flag, if there was a ref in there definitely would have been a personal foul in there.
Oh, certainly. But it almost seemed like Ray Rice was choking her out. Speaking of choking, how about Lamar Jackson in the playoffs?
Oh, I love you, Lamar, but man, you in the playoffs, it is just a bad relationship between you two.
We'll have to see if that ever changes. Lamar Jackson chokes in the playoffs, but you know what team chokes every game?
You mean the crappy Browns?
Specifically, the 0-16 season in 2017. You didn't win one game. It's harder, I feel like, to lose every game than it is to, like, a game? I don't know.
But, hey, let's also look at this. They also had Johnny Money Football Manziel.
Jeez.
And let's also remind Cleveland Browns fans the fact that they had, they got, a new quarterback almost every season for an entire decade.
They're also getting a lot of coaches. That changes a lot, too.
It is literally, you walk into Cleveland and you immediately go through the revolving door and come immediately back out with no job at this point. If you're unlucky. If you're lucky, you actually do get to stay for maybe a season or two, and then you get to walk out and get a new job.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. No one wants to stay in Cleveland. Just ask LeBron James.
All
Goes
right.
to Miami, then comes back, then goes to the Lakers. I'm just okay. Anyway,
Okay. Move on. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals.
grasping at straws a little bit here again, but Cincinnati, you could have moved on further in the playoffs if it weren't for that dirty hit that Vontaze Burfict pulled a few years ago.
I think it's sad to say that the only thing that I think is gonna make the Bengals like a super relevant or give them a very good give them a history in the NFL at all is the fact that they had Vontaze Burfict for so long.
No kidding. Oh man.
The other thing is that their quarterback, Andy Dalton, he kind of looks like he fits on that team, and that the team was kind of designed after how he looks.
Oh no, not this.
Okay, we need to move on because I'm just reaching for everything now.
Yeah, you are. Okay, speaking of still reaching for everything, the Kansas City Chiefs, that's the next one. All we can really come up with is Andy Reid's obsession with cheeseburgers and Patrick Mahomes putting ketchup on everything. Also, the Patrick Mahomes, there's probably too much ketchup stuck in Patrick Mahomes' throat. That's why he always sounds like he talks like this.
Patrick, if you're watching this or if you listen to this at all, I just want to say I do love you, I do respect you, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, and then you have my wife. She was making fun of Patrick Mahomes a lot this morning. We were watching that Super Bowl mic'd up video where when they get that final touchdown that sealed the win for the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes was mic'd up and he was running down the field just yelling, just and my wife kept on thinking he's running like he has to poop. Is basically what.
I was gonna say, is he running like how Kermit the Frog will like just scream and throw his hands up in the air and start running away? Oh, okay. Let's move on from the Chiefs. The LA Chargers.
Do they even have fans? Let's just leave it at that.
Go back to San Diego, please.
No, the Chargers.
If anything, if you move back to San Diego, at least you'll have fans in your stadium.
Well, okay, let's be honest though. The Chargers they did have fans. They had what is it, like 50 of them? But guess what? All 50 of them were Phillip Rivers' children.
Okay, that one was good.
Las Vegas Raiders. Here we go. This one's a fun one.
You go through with this one. I'm still reeling from the children.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, the Tuck rule, that one hurts. The fact that that basically screwed over the Raiders' chances. Their whole little snafu that they had with Antonio Brown this past season, that was awful. Constantly moving the team. You're in Oakland, then you're in LA, then you're back in Oakland, now you're in Vegas. Come on, like pick a place to settle down.
I think they're gonna settle down in Vegas, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, apparently. Especially they spent all that money on that stadium. Holy.
And I mean, City of Lights. There's all sorts of stuff. Anyways, continue.
Anyway, the only other thing I want to bring up with the Raiders, too, that I feel is a little tough to stomach is the Gruden Bowl. I mean, you got rid of John Gruden, and then he goes to coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and wins the Super Bowl and beats you out. I mean, yikes. That's rough.
All right. Let's move on to the Denver Broncos. The Mile High Stadium. They have John Elway, famous quarterback, but he can't seem to pick a quarterback.
Always picks they all look like they're the same build too, and they just never can quite bring it home. Whether it's Brock Osweiler or Joe Flacco or Peyton Manning, Peyton Manning. Again, that was more the defense.
I think
yeah, but that was more the defense.
I think they're looking at it as like Peyton Manning's like the ex-girlfriend, and so that they try to jump back into the dating game too soon. and instead of finding a new girl, they just try to find the girl that looks and acts exactly like their ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, but maybe a little bit slower and older.
All right, let's move on to the Houston Texans.
Does it bug you that J.J. Watt can't stay healthy?
Yes, it actually really does. I love and respect the man, but he needs to stay healthy.
Yeah. The other thing that I have to pick on the Texans for, though, is the David Carr disaster. They selected him in the draft, and his tenure at Houston was so bad, and so many people were so upset with how David Carr performed in the NFL that it actually brought down his brother Derek Carr's draft stock when he entered the NFL. That was bad.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway,
Tennessee Titans. You guys are now you guys have improved, but you guys were stuck at the goal line in the Super Bowl.
how does it feel to be that close to winning a Super Bowl and to just be that close, and then the Rams ended up taking it from you?
Oh boy.
Probably stings a little bit.
And I'm also throwing a little cheap shot. Nobody in the AFC South likes you except for you. Nobody.
They're that team. Yikes.
You guys are that team.
Yikes.
All right. I'll take over for this one, give you a break, because this is my boy, so I gotta...
Are you kidding me? I gotta make fun of you for the Jaguars. Come on.
I mean, I think you can make fun of me for my love for the Jaguars, but if you want to, go for it.
Yeah, I've got a few things in mind right now. Number one, of course, is Blake Bortles. I mean, yikes.
Oh, no. You want to know a bigger one that's a bigger yikes for any Jaguars fan listening?
Oh, no.
Blaine Gabbert.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'll take Bortles over Gabbert any day. I think Gabbert threw more, what's the penalty called?
Intentional grounding?
Yes, he threw more intentional groundings than he did actual touchdowns, and possibly, I think might have even thrown more intentional groundings than he actually did completions.
Yeah, for sure. I can also make fun of the fact that that AFC title game against the Patriots didn't go so well.
Oh, that one just hurts. That
Another
one
thing
just makes
too
me cry.
And then the other thing too is, why the hell do you guys keep playing in London?
I don't know. Now we have 2 home games there. They're taking away home games and charging us more, even though we have less games to go to. I don't know.
That's how I pick on the Jaguars.
all really good points. But I'm trying to think what was even worse for the Jaguars. I think Blaine Gabbert's like the peak of shame.
Yeah, probably. All right, we need to buzz through this because we still got the NFC.
Oh gosh. Okay, Indianapolis Colts. I mean, I think many people made enough jokes about this, but what's a few more? Andrew Luck is so kind. He just gets tackled to the ground. He's like, "Oh, thank you for tackling me. You did such a good job."
It was a good sack. It was really good. You did a great job. I'm really nice to everyone except for Colts fans when I suddenly announced my retirement before the season began. It's okay. The Colts organization has never really been all that kind. Remember when they pulled a fast one on Baltimore?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's the Colts for us.
And they immediately dropped Manning when he got injured.
That's true. It's very true. It's a business there, that's for sure.
Payton did everything for them. They're just like, "Oh, you got hurt? Bye. We don't want you anymore."
Oh, they're probably going to do the same thing with Jacoby Brissett.
Probably.
You took over for Andrew Luck. We appreciate that, but bye. You're out.
All right. Now we can move on to the NFC.
Man, your fans are annoying. But there is a team in your division that is worse when it comes to their fan base. But we'll get to them in a second. Also, can Carson Wentz ever stay healthy? Good night. And also, can Nelson Aguilar catch anything? Good night.
No, because Nelson Aguilar, all he ever does is buy Butterfingers and has them on him all the time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yep.
I think this one's gonna be the ultimate one that we're just gonna love and everybody's gonna love.
Oh yes, the Dallas Cowboys. We them boys, even though
The funny thing is, you could just say "we them boys" and it's already funny just hearing it.
the last time the Cowboys won a Super Bowl, they claimed to be the best team around. The last time they won the Super Bowl, I wasn't even born yet.
But we them boys.
The most annoying fan base out there. Stephen A. Smith got that one right. And their owner is annoying. Jerry Jones bugs the heck out of me. And thank goodness, at least they got rid of this, but at least they got rid of Clappy.
Yeah.
They got rid of Dick Garrett.
I just want to say it's
night.
like every season, we them boys, we're gonna take it all, best team, blah 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 blah. Then it gets like halfway through the season, it's like there's always next season. We're still them boys. We're still the best team in the NFL. But we'll be back next season, even though we're not even making it to playoffs.
Yep. All right. That's the Cowboys. You suck. Get out of here.
All right, New York Giants. Oh gosh, why do I feel like the NFC East is just like a garbage show?
Oh, okay. For the Giants, what we got is like, OBJ getting smacked by that net in frustration. That was pretty funny.
So what you're telling me is Giants players they lose a fist fight to an inanimate object.
Nothing but net, man. Nothing but net.
He should become a basketball player.
Yeah, exactly. Eli Manning getting old and getting irrelevant, and then the whole thing with, getting mad at the ownership because they benched him. That's pretty entertaining. The one thing, though, that I think is the most embarrassing stain on the Giants' history is that one game where they were totally dominating against the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles came roaring back at the very end, including where the Giants kicked off. The return specialist for the Eagles even dropped the football upon catching it, and that was Deshaun Jackson, and he still managed to get past the entire Giants special teams and score a touchdown to win the game within the last few seconds. Yikes, that was rough for Giants fans.
All right. Let's move on to the Green Bay Packers. The little
the Redskins. Hey, you forgot about the Redskins.
Oh, my apologies. Continue with the Redskins. I mean, I honestly just thought they're so forgettable, we might as well forget about them completely.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that we really need to talk about then that we can make fun of them for is, first of all, their owner is one of the worst around. I hate Dan Snyder. I think he's so obnoxious and just doesn't know what he's doing. He should sell the team. Also, that team cannot catch a break when it comes to quarterback injuries. First Joe Theismann, then Alex Smith. No quarterback can stay healthy on that team. And I feel kind of bad, but I'm also kind of like, well, some team has to have that bad luck.
I mean, I think when draft comes around, if the Redskins are in the market for a quarterback, I think every quarterback is just sitting in the background just being like, please not me, anybody but me.
For sure. That's why Joe Burrow's options are not that great.
All right, let's move on.
The Green Bay Packers. The only thing that I got to say about them is the fact that Aaron Rodgers cannot be clutch in the postseason. That man just does not have it as far as getting him to the Super Bowl. He got it that one time, but I mean, it was against Jay Cutler, so that's saying something. Still hasn't really been able to get it since then. Or they have to be helped by the refs like they did in that game against the Seahawks.
The Packers are the secret love child of the NFL reps.
Yeah, it sure seems like it.
I mean, I can say that for a lot of teams like Tom Brady, but that's not a team, that's a player. But let's move on.
Oh, let me hear it. Here it goes.
Chicago.
Town. The Bears.
See, you guys should change your name. Instead of the city of Chicago, you guys should just be called the Chicago Bears because Mitchell Trubisky acts more like a woman than a man sometimes.
It almost feels like it. Has to turn off the dang TVs because he doesn't want to hear all the negative talk about him.
And then you guys had Smokin' Jay Cutler, who was obviously high on something while there. And you want to know what my personal favorite is, which I don't think will ever grow old, and I don't think it'll ever go away from Bears history. The classic double doink! You there, McKay? Well, I think McKay died out for a little bit, but we'll keep continuing until he's able to join back in. Duckmaster said, found this one on Reddit, coming to you, McKay. He said, I say something mean, but the Bears don't understand offensive lines. Aha! That is pretty brutal, not gonna lie. Yeah, it was a little bit of an awkward pause. I think McKay's mic or something died out, so I think he's checking on that right now. But, we'll let him jump back in whenever he gets his mic figured out, and we'll get the Bears taken care of. So, in the meantime, let's keep moving on. I think the next team that we have on our list is the Minnesota Vikings. With the Minnesota Vikings, you have Kirk Cousins, who's either good or he dies. And there's no real decision between them. You also have the NFC Championship game of 2018. That was a little bit rough. Are you back, McKay? Nope, thought I heard something. Okay, never mind, keep going. And then you guys also have 4 Super Bowl losses, which I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but I think that might be one of the biggest or the greatest amount of Super Bowl losses in the NFL. Let's move on to the Detroit Lions. Very similar to the Cleveland Browns. They had a 0-16 season in 2008. They are, I think, one of 2 or one of 3 teams. I think the Dolphins might have had an 0-16 season, but I think they might have squeaked out with 1 win. But the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns, they go down in history as the only teams to be without a win for the season. Next, we have the Sorry, guys. It is a hard time talking right now. We have the Seattle Seahawks with the Malcolm Butler interception. I mean, going back to that game, you're at the 1-yard line. You have, I think you're on second down or third down. I think you're on second down on the 1-yard line, and you have Marshawn Lynch, the man, the myth, the legend. One of the greatest running backs in the game at the time. What do you guys decide to do against the New England Patriots? Oh, it's 2nd and 1. I don't know. I think the best play here is to throw it up in the air and get one of our receivers to come down with it. Well, the little rookie comes out, makes the interception, and costs you guys the game. That must have been brutal and kind of depressing for you guys.
Thanks for taking over all this, if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you now. Glad you're back.
Oh, it's about time. Gee, my stupid microphone. Good heavens. I'm about ready to destroy this thing.
Please tell me you heard what Duckmaster said to you.
Oh, no, I saw that. I thought that was funny. I'm not offended by that at all. That was funny.
All right, so we went from Chicago Bears. We went a little bit down. Is there anything you want to add to any of those teams, especially the Chicago Bears?
From what I heard, you got it. I'm just a little sad that I missed a lot of you making fun of the Bears. I'm actually really mad about that. Because you covered the double doink and I didn't get to hear it.
I mean, is there really that much we need to... I mean, I think Duckmaster put it best. I mean, is there really anything that we need to say when the Bears can't understand their own offensive line?
It's very true. We can't understand any of that. We can't understand anything offensive. Okay, you were on the Rams, weren't you? Or were you on the 49ers?
I just finished up the Seattle Seahawks, so I was about to jump in the 49ers.
Okay, all right. Well, for starters, I'm gonna take over here just a little bit since I missed a few of those.
I have one more quick thing to add to the Chicago Bears now that you're back and I can get your reaction.
All right, let's hear it.
Did your mic just do a double doink?
Go to hell.
I'm sorry, it came in at the perfect time. It just cut out right at the Chicago Bears. Like, huh, that's a little suspicious.
Yeah, just doing a little bit of my own version of cheating. Call me the New England Patriots or the Houston Astros, whichever you feel like.
In all honesty, guys, McKay's mic really did die out. It was having some issues right before we started, so that's why it just cut out randomly.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, the 49ers. We could go into a whole thing about Colin Kaepernick and everything like that, but we'll just let that speak for itself. I want to talk more about the fact that Richard Sherman has been really annoying recently and then still gets burnt in coverage all the time, which also falls in line with the big choke that happened in Super Bowl 54.
Oh, I think the most satisfying thing that happened is when the 49ers, I think when they went up 20-10, they all took that picture in the end zone acting like they were the dominant team.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Chiefs come back and just destroy the 49ers. Like, one of their last touchdowns, they do the same thing to them. They're like, what now? And I'm just like, yeah, that was karma. That one felt deserved.
Yep, it did. It was pretty funny. All right. The Los Angeles Rams. I think their exodus from St. Louis was a little bit crazy, and I thought was really funny. Them choking in Super Bowl 53 and not being able to score a touchdown was very entertaining. Actually, it wasn't. That was a boring Super Bowl.
It was funny on how bad it was, though.
Yep. This is the one that I think is really funny. And this falls in line with the Chargers, too. But football teams in Los Angeles, no one really cares. Let's be honest. On a summer night, yeah, Los Angeles is a baseball town. They love their Dodgers. And then pretty much during the rest of the year, it's the Lakers. No one cares about the football team.
I mean, let's put it into this perspective. No one cares about LA football teams so much that you guys are now sharing a stadium. You're getting a new stadium built, and you're going to be sharing it.
Very expensive one.
I know, but like, it couldn't be like one team gets the old stadium, one team gets the new one. It's like, no, you both are going to share a stadium because you suck.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you cut out again? Oh, well, I think we lost him again. So, we're going to keep going. I'm going to take over again. It's been fun, guys. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals. NFL's most slept on team. By slept on, I mean you fall asleep on the couch while watching them. And if you are in the stands while watching them, I feel sorry for you guys because that is not a comfy place to fall asleep either.
Don't tell my brother-in-law that.
Yeah, because your family's from Arizona.
Yeah. Yep. Nope, not much to say about the Cardinals. It's just that not much has happened there in decades.
Your best player is Larry Fitzgerald, and I'm surprised he hasn't retired yet. I love the man, but it's sad when your best player is an old man who probably should be retired.
Yes, definitely. Okay, since we're really starting to push on time, we got to get through the NFC South. And dang it, because this one's actually got a lot of entertaining ones.
All right, we can do it. We can do it.
The New Orleans Saints, the Minneapolis Miracle, the no call on the pass interference. Just the New Orleans Saints getting screwed over in virtually every way when it comes to the postseason the past little while.
They got some weird voodoo magic going on there that's not benefiting them in any way.
Oh yeah, tough time for the Saints, that's for sure.
Carolina Panthers. Oh, I'm actually kind of happy about this one because I'm from North Carolina. I lived in North Carolina. I do not like Panthers fans for the most part. There's a few of them I'm friends with. This one's fun for me. So, Cam Newton, he acted like he was going to break a nail after the ball fumbled, and he was going for it, and he's like, oh no, my nails are going to break. Please no.
Pretty much.
And the reason why... Go ahead.
He needed those nails to look good along with one of his ridiculous outfits if he did win the Super Bowl.
Oh, man. That's the whole reason I brought in the nails is because the man... I had a lot of respect for him when he first came in. And then he just started to dress like a woman all the time. And I was like, I didn't know the NFL had women players yet. I thought we were still waiting another few years for one of them.
Yeah, he's got an interesting sense of style, that's for sure. The Atlanta Falcons. Oh boy. Well, for starters, let's just go over the Michael Vick situation with Michael Vick, not being the kindest to animals. That definitely doesn't cast a positive light on him or on the Falcons organization because they have that tied to them. But the biggest thing to make fun of Falcons fans for recently is what happened in Super Bowl 51.
28-3.
28-3. You blew that big of a lead.
Remember, like, when they went into the fourth quarter and it was 28-3, and then there was just, like, videos of just Falcons fans leaving the stadium and be like, we beat the Patriots, we're Super Bowl champs, yeah! And then they get home and realize, like, wait, we lost the Super Bowl? How the heck did we lose the Super Bowl?
Much.
Oh, it's just, I feel like some of the funny stuff is what fans do to themselves with their team.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
They make it just look more funny.
All right, and then we got our last one, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Anything about Jameis Winston you can make fun of the Buccaneers for. I mean, there's not much else to make fun of them for, if you ask me, but Jameis Winston is one of them.
He is the only quarterback in NFL history to be part of the 30-30 club, meaning 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions.
30 for 30.
How? How does that happen? How can you be the best, worst quarterback in the world? I'm sorry, it still blows my mind how he did 30 and 30. That's just... I don't think that you could have... Like, if the NFL was completely staged, I don't think it could be staged better than what had happened this past season with him.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. But that wraps it up for the fun, unless you have anything that you want to add.
Oh, no. I think that pretty much covers it. This has been really exciting, kind of talking about the draft and also picking on all the teams. That's been really fun. That's been my favorite part. But, yeah, I guess, the next time that we get together in 2 weeks, we'll really be talking about the results that we have seen from free agency, because it should be, if I'm correct in thinking, the next time that we meet will be the first day that free agency really gets going in the NFL. And that should be really interesting to see if we see anything big that happens by that time.
And even by the time that we're doing the podcast, there should be even active updates going on. So we'll be able to, like, give it to you guys firsthand, like, hopefully, ideally, right when some of these announcements come out, we'll be able to be like, hey, this just in. Blah, blah, blah is now over to this team, and this team gets this in place of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, McKay, is there anything that you would like to add before we close out for the podcast tonight?
Oh, I'm good here. This is a lot of fun. I still enjoy it every night, and I apologize for my mic cutting out several times tonight. Hopefully we won't have that next time. But, yeah, thanks for everyone who joined in.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming in, watching with us, listening with us. Thank you, Duckmaster and Matchstick, for commenting and making the jokes with us, commenting towards the jokes, and just overall enjoying. And guys, for any of you that are watching and aren't commenting, feel free to comment. If you don't feel like it, that's fine. We are happy to have you guys watching. Just be sure to follow us on Twitch. There should be a little heart icon up in the top right above where you see the giant screen with the podcast going on right now. You'll just need to click on that and you'll be a follower for us and you'll be notified of when we go live. Make sure to tell your friends, tell your family, get them on the fun because, in all honesty, I think, McKay, I don't know if this is just me, but I think we might do like some of this bashing different NFL teams in the future.
Probably. There's always something to make fun of them for as the season goes by.
Give it a season, we'll have a whole new list of things.
Sure, absolutely.
And if you guys even look down, you can see our YouTube page where if you missed part of the podcast or you want to rewatch the episode or you want to watch an older episode like from when the season was active in the middle of the season and see our predictions and everything, if you just click on the giant button that says YouTube, it'll take you right to our YouTube channel. You can leave a like, a comment, and follow that. We also have our schedule below, our Twitter account, which we'll also post like when we'll go live, and in the future we'll probably be posting like different updates or different things going on with that. Join our Discord as well, where you can join in on the fun with everybody else that watches and enjoy all the fun topics and talk with other fans about the NFL.
100%. Oh, yeah.
But with that being said, I think that's going to wrap it up for tonight. So all of you, thank you for watching, and we appreciate the continued support from some of you, and for others that may have tuned in for the first time, we were happy to have you and hope you come back again.
Sure. Thanks again for joining in.
All right, everybody, have a nice night and enjoy football, enjoy the off season, and I don't know. I think that's about it.
Don't be a Cowboys fan. That's it. That's the end. I know you wanted me to say it, so I said it.
I wasn't even looking for it, but I mean, since we're bashing teams tonight, might as well. Don't be a Cowboys fan. Make sure that your loved ones aren't either.
Oh, yes.